The most important thing that people can take away from this, and the most exciting thing I believe I'm offering, is a new way of seeing. We want to get some perspective, a lot of perspective. This is why I call it the exalted life. In exalted, we have alt, which is altitude. We need to get up so we can see. We get to get up like the eagle to see the full landscape. We need the bigger picture in order to know how to operate and function. So when we're in a very limited situation where we can't see the full picture, we can be controlled. We can be told what the full picture is. That's a real problem, because then we're operating unwittingly, doing things that may not actually be good for us because we're so controllable. We become less controllable, hence more sovereign, as we gain in altitude, as we gain in vision and perspective. We start to understand what our functionality, our qualities actually can be too. Our greatest potential lies in understanding the qualities of the Supreme Creator. The idea of this course is to enable us to remove that which is artificial in us and holding us down, so that that space can be taken up by the divine qualities, and we can see more clearly. I teach everyone not only how to elevate their view to get a bigger sense of landscape, but in so doing, where you see the error. We get caught up in illusion, in things that just aren't true. Fantasy isn't necessarily a good thing typically. Fantasy is you thinking something and having this idea in your head about a scenario, a relationship, an opportunity, a lack of opportunity, your life situation that's actually not true, but that's what you've fastened onto. It's your mental vision, and it's false fantasy. It's destructive fantasy. It'll have an immediate impact, and the beauty is, again, once you catch these things, the power starts flooding back to you immediately, because you've seen it and you can't unsee it, and now it makes sense. It's like if you're dealing with very difficult issues around things like forgiveness of self, of other, things you struggle to get over, intense fears you have, real life scenarios that are feeling like they're impossible to get past, a sense of paralysis in your life, not knowing how to make your next choices and what you would use as a compass for that. I'm going to provide that. Very, very clear, real life application to making the right choice and how to know what the right choice is. That's one thing that's going to be very important. And the ability to forgive. That's going to take on new meaning and new clarity. And the ability to move forward in your life when you feel like you're stuck, or to bring fresh flow where you feel like there's a kind of a paralysis. These issues simply require a greater perspective. And not just a perspective like, let's get some perspective on the situation. Real understanding of, this is the landscape, this is why it is the way it is, this is what's going to happen if you do this versus this. It's distinct, tangible. We have a lot of cleanup work to do in our lives because we didn't have the perception, because we had the bug's perspective. And why weren't we given the eagle's perspective? Is it that it wasn't there? No, it's always been there. It's just that it's easier to control people if they don't know what's going on and what their purpose is and what they're actually made of. Our bodies alone are so remarkably made. The sacred geometries, the patterns, the hormone secretions, the DNA patterns, we are literally walking around with the most extraordinary technology conceivable. And we poison it, we don't understand it, we reject it, we relegate it to some sort of, people call the body the meat sacks or something. I mean, I've heard that term before. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You refer to your body as a meat sack? Okay, this is divine technology. It's extraordinary, but I guess a culture that thinks about, commoditizes living things would think that way, but that's part of the bug's perspective.